Hi, guys. Welcome to the Personal Trainers Who Care podcast. This is episode 2 of the new era. And we are here with a good friend of mine, Sara Smith. She's a holistic nutritionist. I'll let her get into that more specifically. But we actually met because we worked at a restaurant together. And then we became besties because we're both health nuts. So that has developed into this. She's also a personal trainer, former athlete, has a lot of health experience and health world experience. So I'm excited to interview her today. The theme for this month is more women's health, mental health, and women's nutrition. So I'm going to pick her brain today, mostly about woman stuff, but everything we talk about today will likely be relevant for everyone. Well, hello, Sara.
Hello.
Hey.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Can you start us off by telling me, like, what is the heart of what you do? Why did you decide to get into holistic nutrition?
Yeah, such a loaded question, but I feel like I always go back whenever I get this question. It's just like, I've always just been so curious my entire life with like the why behind what we're doing, the why behind like westernized medicine, which sounds like pretty crazy as a child thinking about these things, but going to the doctor's office and getting like a prescription or like a fix for something that was wrong, feeling wrong in my body, it just seemed weird to only have like this is your only answer, this is your only option. So like you said, I was an athlete growing up, so I played very competitive hockey for most of my life until I was a young adult. And I ran into a lot of issues with injury, and recovery was like a huge thing, but it was not studied really then, and we didn't know how to recover. Like we were based on like that you should eat chicken parmesan before your big game, or just like carb up. And we didn't understand why. Like I was just always like, what is the why behind this? Why are we doing this? This doesn't make sense. I don't feel good in my body after I eat this, but I would do it because that's what like my coaches would tell me to do.
Chicken parm.
Yeah, like this is so good right now, but ask me in 5 hours, when I'm a little slug on the ice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've just always been so curious, and like you could ask any of my family and friends. I've always just been the one that's giving unsolicited advice, like health advice, and just like, why are you doing that? Don't you think that there's a better way you could do that? Even with training, like I would go to the gym with my friends, and I was always the one that would put together the workouts, and I was just so curious, and I started watching and listening to a lot of, I guess like before podcasts were really a thing, I would always be on YouTube and like listening to different fitness influencers and people in more of like the holistic health and wellness space is now more so how we would know it. But I was like, that's so cool. Like I would love to do that one day. Whether it was like the PT route or nutrition, I didn't really know. So my career kind of just like morphed into what it is now, just through experience. And like, obviously with the pandemic, like things changed for me. And so, yeah, it just started off with a lot of curiosity from my point of view, and always asking why, and like just being that person to like, well, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, how do you explain that? I need it to be broken down. I need to understand why we're eating chicken parmesan before the meal, before our game. So, that kind of like led me to just a path of finding holistic nutrition through Canadian School of Natural Nutrition, and then ultimately graduating 2 years ago now. So, yeah.
And you started out in the health and wellness industry as a personal trainer?
So I got my PT cert 2017 or so.
Yeah.
And I took one that was like more intense. So there was a big nutrition aspect to it, actually.
Really?
Which again sparked my interest. And I've always just been a creature of curiosity. So trying every single diet in the book, not knowing why I was doing it, but okay, keto, cool, I'm going to try that. Like paleo, yep, let's do that. I was a pescatarian for over 10 years.
Yeah.
And then recently, like within the last year, started eating meat again. Gone from a pescatarian to a literal cave woman within like 8 months.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely started off with PT, but I didn't really do much with it at the beginning. So I was doing some boot camps back home would just run them in the summer and outdoors and stuff. And then when I moved to Ottawa, I thought I could try to pursue that for a little while. So I was working at one gym for a little while I was still in school. And then ultimately now I'm working at Altea just part-time, but love it. Like I love certain aspects of moving and moving with a group, and working in a group fitness aspect is really fun, but I also really love the one-on-one too.
Yes. She's a Jane of all trades. Well, what made you passionate about nutrition specifically, beyond obviously the curiosity and, you know, wanting to get those answers? Like, what makes you want to help people with that? Like, why do you think that that's necessary?
So I feel like, and I keep saying this, but I feel like everyone has their why, like that why behind their reasoning. And I truly believe like a lot of people become who they are through like a traumatic experience or like a life-shifting experience. And for me, it was having my appendix rupture in 2015. So that led me to a place of trying to understand westernized medicine again and just figure out how come the protocols that the doctors have given me are not working. For a year leading up to my appendectomy, I actually dealt with continuous bladder infections, continuous UTIs, kidney stones. Like I was just so uncomfortable in my own body, and I was so quote unquote healthy on paper. So now I try to help people find the cracks behind their story. Like, okay, maybe on paper, this person's healthy, but they have like horrible acne that they're dealing with that just will not go away no matter what they do. And they've cut out XYZ. So it's, I guess like my personal story led me to finding my why again and helping people figure out their root cause to what they're dealing with, because it's so much more than what it seems like when it's on the surface, or it's come to the point of like you have diabetes or you have osteoporosis. Like that's something that has developed over years and years of your body breaking down in a way. Yeah. So I just love helping people feel empowered in their own body again, and then explaining like the why behind things. And so it really started from my own story, and then now I help people with theirs. Yeah, it's so true. I mean, like there's a bit of a saying in the health industry that everyone who is in the health industry is actually like sick, but that we all have had, you know, a brush with health issues or, you know, the problems that have sparked this curiosity or obsession that's made us into finding the answers, answering the why, right? And it's the most intrinsic motivation when you feel like I've struggled with this, I've come out the other side, I know that there is a solution for this, and you don't need to feel helpless. You don't need to feel like the solutions end after you go to your doctor and they can't help you anymore. Yes. Because doctors, amazing, doctors of medicine, but, you know, they don't have all the nutrition knowledge. They don't have all of the strength training knowledge. They can be like, hey, you should go do this. The problems that you're facing, the illnesses that you're having are largely based on lifestyle, but they're not necessarily going to give you the kind of specified knowledge that's required for having a lifestyle shift. And that's why it's so important to get that specific help. But there's such a disconnect in Canada specifically. Integrative medicine is slowly becoming a topic of interest in Canada. But in the US, they're actually doing it really well. And in other places in the world, they're starting to do it really well as well. And it's bridging that gap between, yes, we have MDs who are fighting the fires, and that's amazing, and we need that, and there's a time and a place. But there's also a time and a place for all of the other things that is not just putting out the fire. It's like what happened before the fire started, right? Yeah. And then also after it finishes, like how do you go back to finding baseline? But also baseline for a lot of people is way down here. We don't want baseline to be at the bottom. We want to feel good all the time.
Yeah.
We want, we don't want to only feel good once in a while. So
Yeah.
I think it'll start to come. And there's a lot of people who are doing amazing things in integrative medicine in Canada and trying to bring that to light. But I talk to people every single day who are just so frustrated with their state of being right now and not knowing how to find answers.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we need
Oh, yeah.
more people to be able to find the answers that
Yeah.
they need with their own health. It's so important.
I see it every day too. Like the amount of times, and obviously I am bound by my scope of practice. Like I'm not a doctor. I can't be saying things, but I also am a big health nut and read all about that stuff. And the amount of times I see clients who I know are struggling with some sort of digestive issue or some sort of larger issue, metabolic issue that I can help them with by building muscle and by, pushing them along in their fitness goals. But they need a team. They need to be looked at as a whole person and not just the illness that they might have. And they need solutions that work for them specifically and that work for, pushing the dial towards health, because it is a spectrum. It's not very binary, especially in the world that we're living in today. We're always going to be exposed to different toxins and different challenges because we are living in such a crazy, crazy world.
Climate these days.
But there's so much to know about health all the time. There is always going to be foundational steps that you can push towards that, towards making yourself healthier, that is. But if you, along that vein, if you could give these people or clients one piece of advice, what would it be? Like everyone who walks into your office, what's something that you absolutely want to make sure that they are walking away with?
I'm a big proponent for educating clients. And so in my day job, I am educating people constantly. Again, like that goes back to my just like forever curiosity as a child and wanting to know more. And giving that advice. And I've obviously given advice that I don't necessarily stand behind now. And some people are like, oh, but you told me this like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, that was something that I heard like one time,
Yeah.
So maybe don't listen to what I told you 10 years ago. But
yeah.
Everyone has their own story. And I just want people to feel educated and empowered when they are done working with me, that they can go on and live their life and make these choices with like empowered choices and not feel like they need to message me for everything, every step along the way. There's a lot of people that do that and follow that way of work with their clients and their practices. That's just, I'm like, I don't want to see you again. Like I want you to move on and I want you to feel empowered. And if you need help in the future, if it's something like simple or maybe you need a reset or I don't love that word, but there's always going to be things that we could work together on in the future. But ultimately, I don't want these people anyone to feel like they still need me after, a month or two working together.
Yeah.
So, and that's forever changing too, and depending on the client and how well they respond to programming as well.
Yes.
I'm sure it's much the same for you guys too. But ultimately I want people to feel empowered when they're done working with me.
Like there is information out there. You can guide your own health journey. You are not beholden to everything that everyone tells you. And you can take control and you can have that like, intuitive sense of what's going on in your body and sort of gaining that toolbox of being able to pay attention to what's going on inside of your body and then, making decisions beyond that and following that vein.
Trusting yourself.
Trusting yourself is huge, which is a hallmark of health in general, I would say. I think not to get too woo-woo, but like
I love getting woo-woo.
getting woo-woo. But the lack of trust in the self will actually eat away
absolutely
at you and it will destroy your cells, I think. But okay, so at our gym, we work with a lot of with women who are perimenopause, menopausal, postmenopausal. It's such a huge part in their lives. The amount of times in a week I hear, oh, just wait till menopause, right? Like it's a big thing. I don't know how many menopausal, perimenopausal, or postmenopausal women you've worked with, but what do you feel like is a problem that keeps cropping up again and again and again that all these women are missing? Or what's something that you feel like is a big rock that they need to move?
I would say apart from the fitness aspect of things, so obviously that's a huge part of it, but speaking solely on the nutrition side of things, number one would be brain fog. So I just don't feel like I can remember what I was trying to say mid-sentence. I'm like, same.
Every day.
Oh, am I going through menopause? So brain fog is a huge one. Weight gain in your midsection is a huge one. Not being able to sleep the way that you were able to in the past years. Those are really big factors that fall into menopause and perimenopause, postmenopause. So the story is usually quite similar, but it's trying to figure out like what works for you and your lifestyle. But ultimately, women who are dealing with any of these symptoms, it's quote unquote normal, but it's also not, it doesn't have to, again, be the baseline. Like we will use that and we will build on that. And there's so many things that we can do. And I'm sure we'll get into protein and the wonders of protein and creatine for menopause and all the wonderful support coming out with different studies now and mainly the US, but there's some coming out of Alberta too that are fantastic. So a lot of what I do is as a holistic nutritionist is I will look at the root cause and I will approach it with food as medicine, as well as supplementation as a supplement to dietary changes. So, and then on top of that, of course, movement. So they all go hand in hand, but definitely the brain fog, energy, sleep issues, and midsection weight gain would be the main things that most women are coming to me with that same issue.
There's a few things that I want to get back to there, but you said something that really caught my attention. As a trainer, all the time, I'm getting people being like, what supplement should I take? What should I be on? And I know that you're going to say this. It is such a general, I feel like that's such a specific question or a specific request for something that is so individual, broad, and also not necessarily something that can be answered. Obviously, you can say like, okay, most people are deficient in vitamin D if you're living in North America, but everyone's always asking me which protein should I be taking, which supplements should I be taking to support what I'm doing in the gym. What do you feel? I can't believe I'm about to ask you the exact same question, but what it's what the people want to know. What do they need? What should they be eating?
So
Supplementing with.
Okay, supplementing. We're talking about supplements specifically.
Yes, but also you can say that you go.
In general, humans are very mineral deficient. So that's one thing that I find gets very left behind. So I pretty much always recommend some sort of mineral supplement, whether it's magnesium or if it's like a multi-mineral. That's really important. You could do shilajit if you want to do something more from the earth, which is a extremely rich mineral complex. I think you take shilajit, right?
No, I do not.
But it's really good for energy. So wonderful for, again, women who are dealing with menopausal symptoms. Protein is huge, but I like to go dietary first.
Yes.
Trying to get it from a dietary source. There are so many crappy supplements out there. There's a reason why the government is trying to control it more and more. It's because it's really hard to find a well-backed and studied supplement. FDA restrictions are not the best. So I think everyone has to do their own research for sure. Vitamin D, of course, is wonderful. Vitamin B, a methylated B vitamin for energy and energy production in the body, ATP production. Like those are very important as well. if you're dealing with any kind of brain fog or mental clarity issues, then again, magnesium is fantastic. Or I also love herbs. That's a whole other thing. But creatine is so good for your brain. That's not talked about enough as well.
Creatine.
Yeah, you're going to hear me say creatine and protein a million times, which is so funny because I stayed so far away from those supplements for, I want to say 5 years because I felt so horrible taking them. And now I've finally found ones that work for me. So, and then omegas are really wonderful, but you can, again, get a lot of that from food. And then I do like collagen for the right person. There's different types of collagen, so just be careful with that too. If you're looking for something specific for your gut, it's a different type of collagen than it would be for the hair, skin, nails. Then you can get ones that are all in one. So those are generalized supplements. And then I can go down a rabbit hole with so many other things too. But usually, I'd say generally when I'm working with a client, I always ask them and advise them that supplements are, again, supplementary to a good diet and everything else that you're doing, lifestyle, nutrition, and movement. But usually that's where people are like, I don't want to spend too much money, which is fair. So we usually start with 3 to 5, 6 kind of vibe and then see how they do after 3 months. And then we can change it up. So it's very case dependent. Even myself, I'll really cycle supplements because how else do you know if they're working if you don't stop them once in a while to see if they're working? People who are chronically on supplements for their entire life, unless you have a major deficiency and you know that through blood work, then I would say supplementing and cycling your supplements is really important. So that's something that I also help my clients through because a lot of the time there's just curiosity, but also just they don't know how to do that. And on the back of the package, it just says to continue taking every 30 days kind of thing. And it will tell you how much you should be taking a day, but there's a lot more that goes into it. Supplements are very case to case. But I do love using a lot of herbal remedies too. And then obviously food. So it just all goes hand in hand.
Yes.
As a holistic nutritionist, we do all forms of therapy, but so it's very...
Yeah, I think it's so true. People forget that a supplement is supposed to be supplementary. And it's not, I think, especially when people get into the gym and they start hearing, protein, gotta get your protein in. And now it becomes all of these really terribly processed protein bars that are also glorified candy bars a lot of the time. And I don't want to be... I don't want to be a fearmonger. I don't want to be because that's a whole other issue. I've gone down that road myself where the sickest I'd ever been was when I was obsessed with everything that I was eating. And it was giving my nervous system a reaction of feeling afraid to eat all the time. So that's definitely not a healthy route to go down either. But I'm definitely not going to be the kind of person who's going to say oh yeah, just eat whatever, because there are studies that do show that these things, processed foods in excess, will harm you. It is, there's no
How dare you?
How dare you? Sorry, guys. I'm going there. But there is obviously a middle ground, and there is something to be said about regulating your nervous system and controlling the negative thoughts that you have around food. But at the end of the day, you are what you eat. And it should be about fueling your body, about giving your body the proper nutrients to function. I think people have very sort of nebulous ideas about what being healthy means until they experience not being ill, and suddenly they're like, oh my God, my brain fog is gone.
Yeah.
Or suddenly I can think clearly, my digestion's good, right? It's not something that you don't realize the value of it until you lose it. And then also until you gain it back again, and then you're like, wait, this is what life could be like. But what do you think the fitness or wellness industry gets wrong about nutrition? And we sort of talked about the protein bar thing and supplements in general. So it's sort of along the same vein, but
Definitely like a one size fits all approach. So I feel like social media right now, if you watch a couple TikToks on, I don't know, let's just use protein again. This is how X amount of protein a day is how much you should be eating. Then your entire feed turns into this is how much protein you should be eating. And yes, like there's so much research that's surrounding protein these days, or anything for that matter, but it's not a one size fits all approach. And you have to remember that you're a bio-individualized individual. Like every single person on a cellular level is so different. It doesn't, and not to mention, again, most of these studies are done on males and not females. So I think you have to tune into your own intuition. Like, I don't know about you, but I just have a gut feeling for if something's going to work well for me or not. And then I will go down a serious rabbit hole on something. Like, I can't give you an example off the top of my head right now, but tuning into your intuition and not buying into the next biggest diet fad or like fitness trend. I know Pilates is a huge thing right now, and I love Pilates and I think it's wonderful, but I think there's so much to be said about strength training. And again, as you get older and continuing to build muscle mass that is lost in due time, right? So try not to give in to every single fad, and also don't just listen to the first person that you hear, because even if they have an MD or a PhD behind their name, it doesn't mean that they always know exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And on that same note, there's a lot of people who are just completely underqualified to be giving advice as well. So there's people who never go to school and are extremely educated on certain topics. And like that's a lot of people that I wouldn't say a lot, but there's definitely some people who are just like a sponge for information. And I'll definitely go to their pages and be like, okay, what are their takes and hot takes on these things? But yeah, just don't fall into the one size fits all approach. Again, you guys would know that so well with working with clientele at Freeform. I even see it with the clients that I work with at the gym as well. Like something will work really well for one person, and then you try to say the same thing to the next person, and it's like eyes glazed over. They have no idea what you're trying to say.
They're drooling.
So yeah, you're like, okay, I have to like completely approach this person differently.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, I don't know if that was like, if that makes much sense.
No, it does. It's great. It's so true too, because completely lost my train of thought there. Guys, I need some vitamin D stat.
Your eyes.
I need vitamin D in the veins. We were talking about one size. I need some cheese stat. I'm really hungry. No, but we need not to have a one size fits all approach. Yeah. You said something about Pilates actually also that I just want to take a little pit stop.
Okay.
On, because Pilates is great, and any way of moving your body is great for sure. But yes, so true about the strength training thing. I've had multiple consults with clients who did Pilates all their lives and still have osteoporosis. Yeah. So, it doesn't necessarily protect you, obviously. Again, osteoporosis is a complex metabolic condition as well, and that's not just something that will necessarily be resolved with strength training, but it moves the dial in the right direction.
Absolutely, yeah.
And yeah, but I just wanted to put that on the side because, it's such a huge thing right now. People are like, you need to drop the weights, you need to do Pilates, you need to have a, skinny girl summer, and you need to be as tiny as possible, and you need to be long-limbed, which is great.
Grow those limbs.
Go have reconstructive surgery on your leg.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show like how easy it is to fall into these trends and to be like, oh my God, this thing worked for that person. But like, then you're like, for example, carnivore diets, right? It's like, there are people out there who it works for, and they have had amazing experiences where they feel like a reduction in inflammation or whatever. And, who's to say whether that lasts a long term? Like, you don't know. But if you try it out and suddenly you feel terrible, and then you're like, wait, but this is supposed to work because of what this person said on the internet. And then you keep going, what could that do to your body, to your stress hormones, to your hair, to your skin, right? Like, your body and your experience is one of the most important things, one of the most important sources of information and data that you have. And your intuition is so powerful, and paying attention to how you feel is so powerful. Then the other side of it is just become a sponge and try things out if you're really that curious.
Yeah, try things out for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I think every diet technically should work. You know, if you stick to a diet, it's going to work for you. And it's probably not until down the road that you'll realize, like, maybe doing keto is affecting my hormones, or, you know, as a female, it's not working for me and I need to try to learn how to cycle, or the carnivore diet, maybe it's not working so well as a female. And again, like, all of these studies are done on males for the most part. So trial and error, like, try something out. If you prefer a paleo diet and it's just, it's allowing you to introduce more whole foods into your diet, why not? Why not do that? But if you're doing something like a crash diet, which has been around forever and ever and ever, and a lot of people who that I like to work with women who are over the age of 45, 50, that's what they grew up with, right? Crash dieting. So, like, their hormones are in a horrible place when they come to see me. They don't understand why fat is actually good. And cholesterol is not as scary as we all think it is. So try things out. See if it works for you. If you take a little bit of advice and you learn and you grow from it, then that's amazing. But ultimately, like, you shouldn't diet your entire life. Like, that just to me, that seems so scary. And
it's so sad.
Yeah.
Just have a cigarette and a gin martini and you're good.
Oh my gosh. Like, the whole, like, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. I'm like, God. Oh no, like, I could think of a million things that taste better.
Things. Yeah.
I love pasta.
Yeah. And it's such a huge part of, like, the culture right now. And, you know, there's so many different corners of it too. Like, you have, like, at least for women, and, you know, I know it's there for men too, but, like, you have, like, the muscle mommy archetype, or, like, the Pilates princess archetype. And then you have, like, the, you know, just, I don't even know.
You can do it all.
You can do it all. Try it all.
You could be it all.
Cycle through it.
Yeah. And there's different stages. And, like, I love strength training. It's always going to be my base. And when I go back to, and whenever I just feel like I want to turn my mind off, I just can strength train, because it's just what I've done for forever. But don't get me wrong, like, there was a period of time when I felt very inflamed in my body when I was overdoing it in the gym.
Yes.
And I didn't understand why.
Yeah.
I felt so uncomfortable in my own body. I felt puffy. I felt heavy on my feet, like my feet hurt. Didn't matter what I ate, I was bloated. So, like, this happens all the time too. So then, yes, like, changing something up, whether it's diet related or fitness related or lifestyle related, it's so important to play around with that, because one thing is not meant to be for you forever.
Yeah.
It's a good base to go back to these things and to be able to be the Jill of all trades, like you said.
Yeah.
So play around with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, like, the attitude there is so important too. And to understand that you are always capable of healing, and you are always capable of improving. You are so incredibly adaptable. Like Sara said before, like, everything works. Like, you could do the carnivore diet and it will work at what the carnivore diet is meant to do for you, right? Like, you will adapt to whatever you give your body, whether that's a maladaptation is, you know, another question. But you are so capable of, you know, reversing whatever it is that you have, changing whatever it is you have. Like, there's so much hope and so much empowerment. I guess this is sort of the theme of this podcast, like, just being able to make decisions for yourself and, you know, start from zero again and just rebuild. Like, it's, as long as you are paying attention to yourself and being honest to yourself and intuitive and trying things out, trial and error is so, so powerful. And, you know, we live in such a culture of, like, immediacy and, like, instant gratification, and it becomes so frustrating when you feel like, okay, this should work right away. But, you know, give some things some time and think about what is happening to you and adjust your course from there. And good things take time.
Listen to your body.
Listen to your body.
So smart.
So smart. It is always trying to do things to push you towards survival. And what you feed it will tip the dial in whichever direction it needs you to go in.
Yeah. Love it.
okay, on a personal level, what do you swear by for health, fitness, wellness? Like, what's something that you will always go back to? And I know that you're a very adaptable person. You're very flowy. You like to change things up, but
yeah. I'm not super rigid with routine. I love cooking. So for me, like that's my happy place when I have time and space to be in the kitchen. I love to just go back to those roots too, like play around in the kitchen, see like how food feels again, how it tastes, like going to a farmer's market. Like I'm not so rigid and these are my non-negotiables. Like I love to have fun. I love to go out and I love to eat and enjoy good food and good wine. So for me, it's just coming back to my baseline of, okay, that's all good and dandy and fun. And I really need that to fill up my cup, but also to feel good in my body. What do I need to do? So for me, that's like a lot of the changes that I've made in my house, like towards a hormone disruption side of things. So removing or replacing a lot of things that were disrupting my hormones that I had no idea about, making my home like my safe haven and feeling very comfortable. Like even though I go out in the world and I'm exposed to all these different toxins every day, like I can go home and that's my safe space. So that's like my reset there. Always moving my body. So I'm not rigid about my step count every day, but I like to make sure that I am moving every single day, whether that's just like a quick walk with my dogs or making sure that I'm on my feet longer at work or parking further away from work to, take that extra 10 minutes to walk to and from my car and into work every day. Like those are just little things that like my parents ingrained in me, but also, yeah, for sure. My parents are.
That's amazing.
Oh yeah. They're
amazing.
Like 20,000 step people a day. Yeah, a little crazy, but no, like I was really lucky growing up for sure to have them and to still have them today, obviously. But so not so much rigid in my routine, but just going back to the roots of like, okay, this was fun. After a vacation, how do I come home? How do I reset? How do I restart and get right back to it? So I think like it's never too late to start again. So sometimes I'll fall off, with maybe I'm having a really horrible menstruation 1 month and I want to eat my body weight in cake. And I don't necessarily do that, but I will indulge in like a piece of cake or a cookie or whatever. And I try not to beat myself up about that at all because like, okay, this is a tangent, but this was a major thing. When I was younger, anytime I would know that I was going out, so like whether it was in the summer and I wanted to be in like a bikini or I was wearing a crop top or I was going on vacation and I felt like I had to drop like that quick 5 pounds, whatever it was, my body would become again so inflamed. Like I would barely eat anything. So many people do this and have done that. Like, maybe if I eat less, I won't feel, I'll feel better in whatever I'm wearing. Right. And constantly my body was like, F you.
Yes.
You're stressing me out right now. You're going to be the most inflamed you've been the whole month.
The next thing you eat, you become more bloated than you've ever been.
Yes.
For sure.
You can't go to the bathroom for like the entire day. And like all of this was just causing so much stress. So now I like don't even think about that at all. When I'm going out, I'm like, okay, I'm going to fuel my body so that hopefully like if I have a couple drinks, I don't feel like shit the next day, right? Like how am I fueling my body and my brain to prepare for recovery mode? Yeah. And by not giving it food in the past or like not eating certain things or drinking certain things, it was just a recipe for disaster. So anyways, it's never too late to start again. And just get right back on the horse. Like if you have a bad day and that's just like honestly things that I live by. Like I'm not very rigid with my routine. I just have a good baseline that I constantly go back to.
Yeah. So true. Yeah. And that also helps to restart the process where it's not like, you fell back off the horse. Oh, I'll never achieve this. Like I can't do this again. Or like, I'm never going to be a healthy person, but being a healthy person is having that baseline. You go back to those good habits. You go back to those things that ground you.
There's so many things I can't even think of them all right now, but like sleep hygiene is another huge one. Like that's a big non-negotiable. And like we met each other in the industry and service industry and late nights were just like a huge part of what we did. And it just came to the point where I was like, my sleep is a non-negotiable for me. Like I am working a full-time job and I don't want to be going to bed at midnight and waking up at 6 a.m. and not feeling rested and not prepared for my day. So like that's a huge thing too. I would say like that is one thing I'm pretty rigid with is my sleep hygiene for sure.
Yeah. Huge. Like there's a huge rabbit hole that we could go down there. And so much of that is like, stress management and diet and habits. Like your sleep is so tied to how regular you are with when you are sleeping. Obviously a bigger hurdle for people with kids or crazy lives or whatnot, but definitely huge baseline way to improve your health. But you said something that was really interesting that that I thought was a pretty good segue. You were talking about how when you are super excited about, trying to see results, or you want to, maybe not excited was the right word. It was more of a negative vein that you explained it, but you said like, I want to drop 5 pounds or whatever, or like, you have this, let's say you have a newfound goal, you want to lose weight, and suddenly you get obsessive about the food that you want to eat. And then you're like, okay, I have to eat less to lose fat. And, I've had this conversation with a lot of clients. I was mentioning this to you earlier today. I will, push my clients towards eating protein when they are trying to build muscle, when we're on a new muscle building journey, and they go, oh, great. Yeah, I had 1 egg. What do you say to that? And I know that you're more like, listen to your body. We don't need to, have 300 grams of protein every day, but how would you approach that?
Yeah, it's a yes and no. Listen to your body for sure, but I still have requirements that I really highly encourage with my clients. So the number one thing when we're breaking down a meal plan or menu plan or diet plan is protein. It all goes back to protein. So if you're not hungry throughout the day, I always ask for a 5-day meal plan. So just write down every single thing that you've eaten.
Like a log.
A log before we start. And that allows me to see if somebody's eating too much, too little, what their eating habits are, when are they eating? Are they eating surrounding more stressful times of the day? Are they eating late at night? Are they eating around their training? But protein is so important. And I always encourage 25 to 30 grams within an hour of waking. I know that's really hard to do. A lot of people just say, I'm not hungry.
Yes.
Well, why are you not hungry? What is happening with your metabolism? You should be hungry. It doesn't matter what time I wake up. I could wake up at 5 a.m., 4 a.m. I will be hungry within 30 minutes of waking.
100%.
Like that, my body knows I'm up. It knows that it needs nutrients. It knows it needs fuel for the rest of the day. And that's my baseline. If I don't feel hungry within 30 minutes to an hour, I'm not happy about that.
That's an alarm bell. I'm like, what is going on?
Immediate alarm bell. Yeah. So I give them tangible ways that they can get that 30 grams of protein in. A lot of the problem is that people just don't understand what 30 grams of protein looks like. They don't understand that 1 egg is 6 to 7 grams of protein, right?
And who wants to eat 3 eggs?
Yes.
That is an astronomical amount of eggs.
Yes.
So we hear you.
Yeah.
But there's other ways.
There's other ways. And once you start building up to 25, 30 grams of protein in the morning, and then you realize, oh my gosh, I had mental clarity until lunch, and I killed it in my interview, or I killed it in my presentation, or I didn't feel like a major crash around, let's say 3 p.m. and I didn't need to take a nap. And you're just always prioritizing protein. Well, if your main goal is to lose weight, which a lot of people's is, I'll allow that to be their main goal, but in the back of my head, it is not my main goal for them, because I know that if they're following the guidelines that I'm giving them, and they're following the lifestyle and nutrition and movement, then it's automatically going to happen. So I'll allow people to let that think that that's their main goal. But my main goal is usually something different, more so on the back end. And then I just know that that's automatically going to follow. So
100%.
The more you eat, the more protein you eat, the more muscle you're building, the more calories you're burning throughout the day, muscle is very metabolically active. I'm sure you talk about this with your clients.
Yeah.
And it's something that I constantly go back to when I'm teaching a workout class, because I'm like, little tidbit of advice, like you can pick up that 10-pound weight. You don't need to stick to that 5-pound, because if you build more lean muscle, you will be burning more throughout the day. Your body's going to work for you.
Yeah.
Opposed to not giving it fuel in the morning, then going to do a workout, then trying to push it for that 14 to 16 hour fast, and your body is in fight or flight. It thinks it's not going to get food. It starts breaking down your muscle. Like it's really a vicious cycle.
Such a vicious cycle. And they're so stuck in it.
Fasting can work for many people.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't work for a lot of people as well. So if you're not feeling hungry in the morning, and you have, again, that weight gain or that 5 or 10 pounds that you absolutely cannot lose, then there's a reason why.
Yeah.
If you're doing on paper all the right things and your hormones are in a decent place, there's a reason behind why you're not able to lose that extra weight.
But it all just goes back to, having that patience and that kindness with yourself, and, seeing what works for you. And I know that's such an annoying answer.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like, take your time getting to know your body. Obviously, there are, foolproof ways to, get from A to B, i.e. like eat your protein, lift weights, hang out with your friends, get good sleep, be perfect.
Just be perfect. Just
Sauna,
the way to
cold plunge. No, joking. But
maybe not cold plunge.
maybe not cold plunge. If you like it, sure. But that's a whole other rabbit hole. This was so great. I had so much fun doing this.
Yes, it was awesome.
Unfortunately, that is all we can do today. If people want to work with you, where can they find you?
So best place would be Instagram. I'm thebodyedit.ss on Instagram. I also have a website, so it's the same thing, .ca. You can send me a message if you're just curious. If you follow my Instagram and you seem to like what I'm offering, and you seem to like my a million different food posts
vibes,
and you like to cook, and you feel like that's something that you also want to dabble with, is like figuring out nutrition and surrounding how to cook for yourself and your family. That's something that I really love to do. So I am a little bit picky with the people that I work with now, as I think that every single person should be with the practitioner that they're choosing to work with. Because if I feel like you're looking for something that I can't offer, or that somebody else would be better suited, then I'll always recommend them to someone else too. But yes, if you have any questions, you can always reach out on Instagram or my website, and just let me know what you're looking for, and I'll try to help you.
Awesome. Thebodyedit.ss, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for tuning into Personal Trainers Who Care. This is a great episode. I had so much fun doing it. I hope you guys had fun listening to it. Catch you guys next time. Stay tuned. Bye.
Bye.